This is Christine Brown, and while I have to listen to this podcast as my motherly duty, you have the choice not to. My sons sometimes say some naughty things when they're trying to be funny, but really, they're just being stupid. Do you still want to listen? Go right ahead. I am not your mother.
All right, welcome back to the Patriots Dynasty podcast. We're back again, believe it or not. This is 2004 Week 4. Patriots traveling to Orchard Park to play Buffalo in a game I had never watched on TV because I was actually at this game, believe it or not. I flew up. It was the only thing I remember really about this game was flying from Manchester, New Hampshire to Buffalo, New York. It's one of the few times I thought I was going to die because the plane ride was terrifying. And everybody else on the plane, completely normal. They didn't seem bothered by it at all, but it was the most turbulence I've ever felt because it was a little tin can with wings. But we have a full house joining me today. Wow. We got both brothers Brown, Steve and Greg. How you boys doing?
Great.
Fantastic.
You sound like you're on the top of the
I'm excited to talk numbers, baby.
All right.
I'm talking salaries. We're talking dead money. We're talking cap hits.
So we're spoiling the surprise. Thanks, Greg. Joining us as well is I'm probably gonna butcher this. Miguel Benzan, I think.
Yep.
Is that? Oh, nailed it. First try.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah. Better known, I think, to people on the internet as the Twitter account Pat's Cap.
Yep.
Who has been doing this for as long as I've been on Twitter, I think. So thanks for joining us.
I've been doing this in like 2000. I've been on Twitter since 2009.
Wow. So you've just been tracking the Patriots salary cap since 2000.
Yeah. The success since then, I'd say it's always a coincidence, no correlation. But I just happen to think it's funny that I started doing it and I started winning.
So as somebody who's been doing a podcast tracking the Patriots since about that same time, hats off to you, sir. How did you, I think we need to get kind of the elephant in the room. How did you get into following the Patriots salary cap?
Basically came down to one day I read a story that had Ted Johnson's cap number as whatever it was. Next day I read a story in the Boston Globe with a different cap number. As a person who's always been pretty good with math, that didn't make any sense to me. Decided hey, I could keep track of it on an Excel in a workbook. And I asked my fellow back in the day, I asked my fellow Patriots fans, like on news groups, back in the Usenet news groups, folks, you have to Google what that was. In forums like KFFL forum and Patriots Bosco Net mailing list, I asked them, if you see anything about the salary cap, just let me know. And I kept track of it. And like I had like on my salary cap page, I had like cap footnotes, and we're talking about 2004. That back in the day when I was doing this, back then, that NFLPA would actually publish documents, PDFs. They would talk about contracts. They wouldn't name the players, per se, but they would say this linebacker with the Patriots who had 6 years experience got this deal. So if you knew, I could figure it out, reverse engineer, figured out who they were talking about. So back then, that's why I started doing it. It started, since then I've developed sources. I would say I look back at my, when you DM me, I look back at my 2004 page.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm not sure that I got, now I'm very close to the numbers. And I look back then, I'm not sure that my numbers, as I know for a fact, they end as close as they are now. And that just happens to comes with being more experienced and having better sources than I do back then.
Interesting.
It was to say that's why I started doing it. And I just realized I could do a better job of covering the salary cap than beat writers.
I mean, yeah, I think they're not going to be the one
skill set too, though, right?
Yeah.
Like a numbers-driven guy is going to have a different approach than like a interviewing players guy, you know?
Right. I've never interviewed a player, or at that time. I have interviewed a player since then. One player.
Which one?
Was it Troy Brown?
No, it wasn't Troy Brown. Troy Brown's my favorite Patriot, but it wasn't Troy Brown. It was
You're in the right spot.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was Steven Anderson. He's a tight end. It was after the championship parade. I asked him a question. I don't even know if it's still on my phone. He answered me a question, and I was supposed to put in an article, but I never did.
My kind of beat writer.
Yeah. Yes, I'm not a beat. Like I say, I'm more. I consider myself a fan who has a niche, carries a niche territory. I have sources, so I know what about the salary cap. Sometimes I hear about things that it's going to happen with the Patriots.
Yeah,
but I never tweet it out because the people who tell me those things ask me to keep it a secret. So I don't break those. I'm not breaking a story.
That's fair.
But if it comes to the salary cap, I will break stories because I figured stuff out.
Area for sure.
And so that if it comes to like breaking news, like transaction wise, and somebody's told me and gives me a heads up, I'm not breaking their confidence. But if it comes to the salary cap where I figured out something, I will say it out on Twitter.
Yeah.
It is a tough job being a journalist because it's covering the football now, because you got to be a numbers guy, you got to be a legal guy, and now you got to know about medicine and COVID and all this other stuff.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you knew you were signing up for that in 2000.
Huh?
I don't know if you knew you were signing up from that from the beginning.
No, and it's crazy. Like what they guys got to do, and you got to like. For me, I don't have to write a story. Don't have to tweet unless I want to. I don't have to come up with anything. And I got a mission statement where I basically tell people that's kind of true to my life, where I say what I mean what I say. I'm not going for clicks. I don't have a problem when I'm wrong. I'm not making, and therefore, I'm not making stuff up to get clicks or to make. It is what it is. It cracks me up that people will make stuff up.
Oh my God. Yeah.
To get people to follow them. I
don't understand.
Yes, I'm talking about UMO channel.
Among others, I would say.
Yeah, but but I can't believe that people, still follow him when he tells people he is making the stuff up. He told you what he is, and people still follow him. And I thought about how that relates to some people's relationship. Like, why do you think you could change a person when he's told you what they are?
Mm-hmm.
Stop. Because people want to hear what you want. People follow him because they want to hear. He's taking advantage of their willingness to believe anything.
Right. Yeah. Or wanting to believe.
Wanting to believe.
True. Yeah.
So who is this? Is this
some guy named Mochi?
This is the rival. We got.
It's not a rival.
Sounds like a rival to me.
No,
this guy's way below.
How does somebody?
He's not nearly as famous though. Because how much money did you raise for the Habitat Humanity? Because I remember
I've raised over $33,000 so far.
I donated a couple of bucks to you just because I was checking your Twitter all the time. I don't even.
I've done the same.
Yeah. I don't know how much.
Pat's cap.
Thank you. I don't know how much money I've raised for the Bread of Life and the food pantry in Malden.
Nice.
I know people have sent them money. I just don't know how much because of me. Because they would have to tell the Bread of Life would have to tell me this. They would get notes and stuff like that. But if somebody would give them a donation out of the blue, didn't mention my name, I wouldn't get credit for that.
That's true. You're not in for the credit, though.
That's one reason I did it the way I do. I'm doing it right now for Habitat Humanity, so now I can keep track of at least what I've done. Trying to raise money.
That makes sense.
Help spread awareness too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have noticed one thing when you do every once in a while get something not necessarily wrong, but maybe slightly off. You talk about doing a lap. Do you actually go do a lap?
Yes. I need to lose weight. I put on a little bit of weight during the pandemic. So I actually do a lap.
What are you doing a lap around?
It's more like I say a lap because I think that that's like a minute to my walk.
A I'll take it.
Okay, and then the days I go to.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so there's a days to go. There's a high school and where I live, and then if I do it like on right before Saturday and I remember it, I'll do a lap around the track.
Yeah.
An extra lap around the track.
A literal
I love
lap.
it.
I love it.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're talking about being good with math. Did you do that sort of stuff for a living as well, or is this just kind of like
no?
Really?
I majored in economics.
All right.
So I started, so like after I majored, I got then I got a job with the FDIC.
Oh wow.
Okay, and then they had an open. I just learned I had an affinity with working with computers, and so I switched over from being in the credit department to being in the information technology department.
Oh,
and then since then, I've been in that in information technology. People think I'm an accountant by trade. Because I'm good with numbers, but I'm not. I tried a double major in economics and accounting when I was in school, but they wouldn't let me because economics was in the College of Liberal Arts, and I forget this accounting was in a different school, a different college, but they wouldn't let me. I couldn't double major because I was in. You couldn't double major if you had two different colleges.
Oh, good.
At least everyone's going to know where you're from because your accent is ridiculous.
I've been told that. Yes.
See, I get told that only on this podcast. Apparently, my Boston accent comes out more talking to you guys about football.
Oh, for sure it does, but we got nothing on Miguel right now.
See,
no.
It's people. I'll never forget. I went to San Francisco once, and I asked for directions to the basketball arena. And within 1 minute, one sentence, the guy says, "You must be from Boston." One sentence.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
Like,
I love it.
I cannot. And the Warriors came back. It cost me $5 to go to. This was before they were. This was way back in the day. They were not good. It cost me $5 to go to the game.
Nice,
awesome.
That's the way to be.
Or maybe he guessed that because you're wearing a Celtics jersey or something.
No. No, I wasn't wearing a Celtics jersey back then. What the heck was I wearing? I don't remember what I wasn't wearing.
If you had pulled that out, I would have been super impressed.
No, because I know it wasn't wearing my reserve uniform.
Oh, right.
Because it was after the training. I don't know what it was. I didn't bring any Boston stuff with me.
Yeah.
I know that.
Probably for the best.
When I was taking my trips for the reserves, I was never taking
again,
Boston.
We've talked about this. It's not true. You bring your accent with you, so that just tells everyone.
That's true. That's true. But I hardly ever wear the now. But when I was a kid, I was in the 20s. I hardly ever wore Boston sports paraphernalia.
Yeah,
now I do.
I tend not to wear it outside New England because we're not particularly well liked.
That's the truth.
But when you live here, you have no choice, dude. I wear it
That's
all the time.
true. Yeah, you guys have both moved away, so
you'd have to leave New England, Andy, to venture out that far.
I'm leaving this weekend. Thank you very much. I want to hear it. So you get asked a lot of questions on Twitter. Is there one that you get asked the most? Over again? Just in general.
Since I've been to 2009, there was a guy who used to be how much cap space I had. Then the guy in Twitter suggested you should just put that in your handle, and that stopped being the question. Now it's more about who's the player in. Right now, it's all about Gilmore. So that's now. Once he signs his deal, hopefully he'll go to something else. I bet you. And in the next couple of weeks, it'll be, how come the draft picks haven't been signed? How come the draft picks haven't been signed? You know what I'm saying? Now, the other most frequently question is when I talk about the roster is, how come they haven't processed Patrick Chung's retirement? I have no idea. That was one thing I got wrong. I said they would process it on June 2nd.
Yeah. It just
makes sense to me. I have no idea why I haven't, and what to be something cap. I want to be embarrassed. I might be embarrassed if there's a cap reason for it.
I'm sure you've already done the lap for it, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe it's Bill Belichick talking to you through the cap by saying, "I actually know a little bit more than you do."
Yeah, he's been messing with me this year.
Yeah,
been signing all these players and
Oh yeah.
keeping me busy, and then and then he signs a whole bunch of 5 draft picks right away, and then stopped for a month.
Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing.
So true.
He's been messing with me. I'm like, oh my gosh. And now we got this. Now we got the July 2nd opt-out deadline.
Oh, right. Okay.
Which we just learned about today, folks.
Right.
I don't. Hopefully, no Patriots opt out. I just can't imagine it.
Yeah, I don't feel like it'll be the same as last year.
Yeah, so over 60
knows?
players opted out last year.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if it even comes close to 10.
I agree. Yeah.
Unless the big boys do it.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
I mean, the big. I'm talking about the offensive linemen and defensive linemen. They're who most likely qualify for the high risk thing.
Oh, that makes sense too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Defensive tackles and such.
Yeah,
Nice.
the guys who are really overweight. I mean,
Yeah. Although, I mean, you look at videos of Vince Wilfork playing basketball, and like he may be overweight, but the dude could still move.
my God,
Unbelievable how athletic they are.
They play at a different level that's like way beyond us, like the regular person. I mean,
Well, we even looked it up, and Vince Wilfork ran a faster 40 at the combine than Tom Brady did.
that I believe.
Yeah,
it's not that shocking.
That's not that shocking.
It's a little shocking.
No,
Wilfork's
no,
like pushing 400.
He's a better athlete, though.
Oh, absolutely.
But you have I have a niece who runs cross country. She was in shock when I showed her the Tom Brady video, the 40 video. It's like, he's an athlete. He ran like that. I said, yes, and he trained for it.
Yeah,
He trained for it. It took months. He probably trained a couple of months, and that's how fast he went. And this is in his 20s. This is like, he's probably he's in better shape now than he's in his 20s.
Wasn't he threatening to run it again, see if he could run it faster?
He probably could.
I think at one point probably could, yeah.
Yeah. But he's like, I was like, I know people second, like the thing about the 2000 team is like I don't think the Patriots were ever coming close to putting him on the roster on the field because he was so skinny.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, I'm thinking maybe does Mac Jones have that too?
Yeah. That's what I had similar.
That's a good
thoughts,
take.
Yeah.
Huh?
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. Because he looks like a guy whose body's gonna change between this off season and next training camp.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
he's a little older than Brady was when he was drafted, though, right?
I don't actually know. Stat check?
Actually, no. Wasn't Brady a senior as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the same age. Never mind.
Although they were saying the other day that if Brady and Mac Jones play each other this year, it'll be the biggest age gap in starting quarterbacks ever.
Yes.
Wow.
That's
which is
another record that Tom Brady has.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's got them all at this point.
He's got them. Yeah. He's terrific. He's unbelievable.
It's the best.
So you don't hold any ill will against Tom Brady for leaving?
No. I did. Wait. It's for me. I think of it as when you learn a couple has been married for like decades and then they get divorced. I think they just do, for whatever reason, the little things that used to get us, that you let your husband or wife win, those little things now drive you absolutely crazy. And I think that's what happened with with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady.
See, so asking for a friend, what happens if your wife already thinks those things drive her crazy?
I've been married for a long time, so my wife puts up with a lot. So I'm not pushing my luck and asking her.
She's got nothing on Greg's wife.
That's probably
hanging paintings in the bedroom. Put your foot down.
Oh God.
Oh gosh! Listen to a podcast about the Patriots and you get marital advice.
Oh yeah, you get all sorts on this podcast. Yeah. But speaking of football, since we are a historical Pats podcast, I'll probably ask you a bit about that. So your favorite player, you said, is Troy Brown, correct?
Is Troy Brown?
Yes, as it should be.
And it cracks me. And folks, it cracks me up that people on Twitter will say it should be Tom Brady. I'm like, it's my favorite player. It's your favorite player should be your favorite player.
That's a good point.
That's not how opinions work, but yeah.
It's just an opinion. I'm like, okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't share the same opinion. It's just an opinion, folks. No.
So why Troy Brown?
Hilarious.
Troy Brown.
Great contract.
No. He was, for me, the original Patriots in the terms of the Bill Belichick era. Plus, I am 10 feet away from where I'm pointing to my left, where I predicted he would score a touchdown on a punt return, and it happened.
Which one? Was this the AFC championship game?
Not the championship game, but it was during the regular season because my friend David was here and with my wife, and he scored a touchdown on that play, and I looked like the awesome thing. like I forgot, like during the snowball game.
Yep.
I thought to myself that Tom Brady should be able to run in the ball near the end zone. It didn't happen in the next play, but it happened 2 plays after. And I was like, oh my God, I called it, but I didn't really call it.
Yeah, you called it in your head, which nobody believes.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time.
Because I was way in the back. I was up. My friend and I were in the top of the arena, stadium. Excuse me. So no one heard the idea.
Exactly.
I could see people. The best thing about that, you going to that game, you could see people leaving and then trying to come back.
Oh, that's brutal.
Wait, you were at the snowball game?
I was at the snowball.
Oh,
awesome.
Burying the lead
God.
there. Right?
We've talked about this on the podcast about whether that's the best Patriots game you could pick to be at.
Yeah. If you had to pick one
Last
game
in
to go
Foxborough, the snow,
Yeah,
the kick, Brady like cementing his legacy. Like there's a lot going on there.
But even
there's a lot going on there.
Uniforms.
The two coming back from the 2 touchdowns from the Ravens in the playoffs.
Oh,
that game was awesome too.
Yeah,
that's definitely an instant classic.
I would still pick
I see. I was at the snowball, and then that was I'll never forget that because I could watch people from leaving and then they try to come back. That's the funniest thing ever.
Unbelievable.
Imagine if you went to that game and then left.
After the tuck rule happened, they didn't.
But people did it because I could see them.
Yeah.
I bet none of them will admit it though.
Yeah,
no, we were there the whole thing. I swear.
Beat the traffic.
Traffic. It took me 2 hours to get out of the stupid parking lot.
That's right. We were talking about that too. Imagine the traffic after that game.
Oh my God. That's when you just grill again after that. When you just fire up the grill again and just wait.
I should have waited. I should have waited. I should have. My friend said you should came out and hang out, and I'm like, nah. I was soaking wet, even though I was laid.
Didn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
I was soaking wet. I wanted to get out of school. I literally took off most of my clothes in the car. Yeah. It's like I literally drove home with a t-shirt in my underwear because I was so wet.
We've done that, right, Andy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Remember after that Jets game?
It was like a Thursday night Jets game too. That was such a bad game.
And Andy's driving home shirtless. I remember thinking, "Wow, Andy's hating this."
That was a tough day.
Yeah. So let's talk about the 2004 cap. I just want to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. Give me some 2004 numbers.
2004 numbers. Like obviously Brady one of the highest cap numbers. The funny thing about the 2004 cap is that I actually kept a spreadsheet where I tracked how much money they pushed out into the next year.
Oh,
they did they pushed out money for 8 players to keep that team together. And so and they did something. So Brady redid his deal in September, which gave him the cap space to operate the rest of during the season. I mean, they obviously need to replace injured players during the season. Yeah. Back then, the Patriots weren't using per active roster bonuses, so that they didn't have that consideration back then. For me, I was trying to remember what I learned about the 2004 cap. For me, it was how few free agents they re-signed. They had a ton of free agents in 2000, and they let most of them go, sign some players, and they repeated.
Interesting.
I said that's pretty good. So I was like, looking back, I'm like, wow. And that's the other thing about the league year. It started on March 3rd. Like now, the league year starts in mid-March. All right. So that was interesting for me looking up my numbers. It was the other thing that's happening during 2004. Are they going to keep Ty Law?
Oh, right.
And that was a big discussion. I must on the Pats fans platform. I kept on saying they could have kept Ty Law. They should have kept Ty Law. I thought they should have kept him. Obviously, I was wrong. That was one of the things. Hey, they moved on, and I kept on, saying. But it was cap wise. 2004 was kind of a interesting year because they were coming up to 2006 was going to be the ending of the CBA. They had this kind of quirky rule for Vince Wilfork and Ben Watson. It took me 2000. It took me until I learned about the rule in 2001. It took me until 2004 to get it right.
Oh. What was the rule?
It was because they were coming up at the end of the CBA, and the rule doesn't exist anymore. All right. Oh. So they coming up to the end of the CBA, and it's how much signing bonus proration you could have, a rookie could have. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, NFL making stupid, complicated rules. That doesn't sound like the NFL at all.
Right? I know.
And they got rid of it. Thank God. I was like, oh my gosh, because it was. I got it wrong the first couple of times I did it, try to figure these numbers out, and that's why I think when I went back and looked at it, my 2002 and 2003 numbers, they're wrong. Because like in 2008. There was, let's just say the NFLPA site was open to the public for a while, which means you could download any report you wanted to.
Oh, really?
Okay, yeah.
On purpose?
I don't think somebody screwed up on the security. Okay,
gotcha.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, fair enough.
Fair enough. So I was able to download the reports for every. We were able, the people who were the capologists. All the images, we were able to download every cap reports for every player in the league that year. And then they had history. I'm like, man, I went back and I'm like, man, I had some numbers wrong for these guys. And then it was Wilfork and Watson was being one of them because of that stupid rule. I was like, oh, and that's why I wanted to bring it up because it's like, oh, I'm so glad that rule's not in the CBA anymore. I can't find, and that's the interesting thing is I can't find a copy of the CBA that was in effect of 2004. Oh. I'll say this about the NFL and the NFPA. They really need to do a better job of putting this stuff out that's online, the public. Like, for example, the CBA's is now online. It wasn't online back in the day when I started doing this. Mm-hmm. The bylaws are not online, period.
Huh.
Period. I mean, the version that there used to be an old version, and now they took it down. But they haven't put the new version on.
Right.
Yeah.
Aren't that Green Bay Packers like publicly held too? They should be.
Exactly.
Like that.
Exactly.
Right. So how do you get all your like source information on like how do you put together your Excel sheet? Is it all publicly available stuff, or are you pulling from sources, or are you digging online?
Okay.
Combination.
So some stuff is public.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Aaron Wilson does a really nice, who used to write for the Houston Chronicle. It doesn't write. I don't know what he writes for now, but he does a great job of putting out the of tweeting out numbers. All right. He doesn't do. He has been covering this NFL for years and still interprets the numbers incorrectly. But at least he puts out the numbers, and I can figure it out that way. Yeah. So Tom Pelissero, Ian, Adam, they'll tweet out the things, the contract details. You give me enough contract details, I can figure it out. All right. Okay. I have a couple of people, sources, who have access to the contract database, and so if I have a question, I'll ask them to give me the clarification.
Yeah.
Right. Since I'm a cap geek, every day, for one of the first things I do in the morning after I go to the bathroom is I go down and I download the spreadsheet from the NFL public salary cap page.
Okay,
that helps me figure out the changes in that change. I can figure out if the Patriots done a deal recently, all right, and if they did a deal recently, what the percentage of the cap was. Because, so that's the answer to the question.
So that's all.
I'm not going to name the sources.
Of course.
I have sources.
Yeah.
Are there other fan versions of you? Like, do the Cowboys have a?
The Cowboys used to have one. You can name a guy Adam JT 13. He used to do it.
Shout out Adam J13.
he for example, back so Nick Corte, who works right for the overthecap.com. He's now the compensatory pick guru. He's just building off the work that Adam JT 13 did.
All right.
Okay, so like when you were talking in the early 2000s, Adam JT he had a source that had access to the contract database. He would post numbers out there, and I would use his numbers. All right. Yeah. I was there are there's 32 teams. I think there's 20 of us. Not
so you guys like a capologist brotherhood?
Yeah, you guys
there's a brotherhood. I would say.
Yeah, you guys have like a WhatsApp group and stuff, things like that.
No, there's 4 of us.
Chat.
There's a 4 of us who DM each other all the time. Five. Me, Troy, who does the Texans, Ian, who does the Steelers, Jason, who does the Jets, Brian, who does the Ravens. This is the 5 of us who DM each other. We've been DMing for years.
This is awesome.
We don't put. So the other guys, and unfortunately, there's not one woman out there. All right, who's doing this. They DM us sometimes. They ask us questions. We tweet at each other, but there is not like they used to be back in the day. I started a Yahoo group. I don't know if it's still they still have Yahoo still has groups.
I don't know.
I forget what AM Cap NFL. That was his name. AM being short for amateur, Cap being short for capologist, NFL being the obvious. Right. All right. It used to be back in the day. So like Jason Hurley, who does the 49ers, used to be in that group. Wow. Bryce Johnson, who was Eagles cap back in the day, who now works in the Eagles front office, was in that group. Oh man.
So like like SpoTrack. I mean, whenever I'm like trying to figure something out, I go on SpoTrack. Is that accurate?
Stop that.
Okay. This is what I need to know. This is why we brought the expert on.
Okay, literally, hopefully, because I'll say this, they do a good job of mirroring over the cap.
Okay, so over
that's
the
all I
cap
gotta
is where
say.
I need to be?
You need to be at overthecap.com. Okay. Forget SpoTrack. And then you can and I'll tell you this, SpoTrack still gets their numbers wrong. They still don't understand the cap. But people, because they have a better constructed database, people go to them. All right?
Like the interface.
Yeah, the interface, their interface is better than over the caps. But then go for you want accuracy, go to over the cap for every team but the Patriots. Me, you should follow me for the Patriots. Okay.
That's right.
But like this, that's all I got to say because I have an umbrella insurance, but I really can't afford to get sued by them.
All right, give me your opinion on Corey Dillon because he was the trade, not the free agent.
Yeah, I love. Oh my gosh.
How is his
love that trade. I love his deal. For example, he had incentives up the yin yang in his deal. So it was one of the things like I would go out and post and he just made this money, how much money he had. That's the thing I do on Twitter right now is when a player has earned his incentives, I'll tweet it out. Yeah. I used to do that big time for Corey Dillon at the end of the 2004 season. It was so fun.
What about Ricky Williams? Remember that contract he signed?
Right.
His rookie deal.
She literally, Master P screwed him so bad. I wanted to
all the benchmarks were NFL NFL records. Yeah. It was what he had to hit to get his incentives.
Yeah. So so back in the day, so when I started doing it, when the rookies got the top rookies, when they get the deals, the people that have big numbers. Yeah. Right. Mm. Adrian Peterson had a big rookie deal number, right? People didn't realize how much money, what he had to do to get all of his money. He had to run to 2,000 yards every season and be the NFL MVP to reach his whole deal. The agents used to fluff up the numbers big time.
That's so true.
Oh, that was one thing. I'm so glad they got rid of the rookie deals because I'm so tired of saying, this rookie got a $60 million deal over 5 years. He's never going to see that $60 million.
No.
Yeah, so that's a question I had, right? So all the rookie deals are like kind of like hard lined in there, right? So
the first year number is hard line in there.
So it's everything after what are they negotiating with rookies?
So let's just go by round.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
For the 7th round, all you're negotiating is when you get injured, when do you get the split salary? Because folks, for rookies and undrafted free agents, right? The NFL screws them over when they get injured. They lower their salary.
Oh.
All right. So these guys right now are making $660,000 as a rookie salary, but they get injured, it goes down like $415,000. I'm just going off the top of my head, so I don't know it. All right. So that's what they're negotiating is like, hey, if I get injured, when do I get? Is it throughout the entire first year of my rookie year and throughout the first year, entire second year? Or sometimes it's just the preseason of the second year. Every NFL teams, like if you get hurt, if you're a 7th round pick in the first year, you can guarantee your salary is getting lowered.
Okay,
right?
So their only leverage is I could just like sit out or not play for this team.
No 7th round pick has
so they have no leverage. They're
no
kind of
leverage.
Just being like,
you are not wasting.
Right.
Because the second contract is so much money, you are not wasting that year. Mm-hmm. You were just saying, hey, I'm just going to put up with it. I'm going to go, hey.
Give me the piece of paper. I'm signing it.
I'm signing it. Yeah. They're not dead. There's no way. No rookies is leverage is going to hold out anymore.
Kind of first rounder?
Okay,
what do they have?
Going by round. Patience, my fellow.
Pump the brakes, Brownie.
Okay. 6th round, the same thing. They're only negotiating about this when this salary kicks in. 5th round, same thing. All right. 4th round, same thing. Now we're talking about the 3rd round. This is where it gets tricky, folks. All right. So in the CBA, it says a rookie salary can only increase by 25% of his total salary and his signing proration of the first year. So that we know the rookie salary is $660,000. Okay, if he gets a bonus, a signing bonus of $1 million, that's $250,000. Mm-hmm. 660 plus 250 is 910. Divide that by 4, and that's 25. That equals 25%. Yeah. That amount is how much his salary can go up each year. All right. So for the 3rd round picks, all right, they're negotiating. How much their salary was going to be, not in the first year, because we know it's going to be $660,000. All right. We also know in the second year, it's going to be whatever the maximum possibly is, depending on what signing bonus they got. All right. Mm-hmm. They're negotiating how much their 3rd year salary is.
Wow.
Yeah. And then therefore, by negotiating the 3rd year salary, you're also negotiating your 4th year salary. All right. So for Ronnie Perkins, he's a 3rd round pick for the Patriots. He happens to be a comp pick. There's 10 of them. 10 comp picks in the 3rd round picks. They all have quirky rule. They all going to get the same amount of money.
Oh.
What?
Because they're a comp pick?
If you're a comp pick, everyone has to get the same amount.
The same. They have the same. They're going to have the same cap number in 2021. Those 10 players all going to have the same cap numbers. So even one guy is 96 and 106, they're all going to have the same cap numbers. All right.
Yeah, but the NFL is like on odd numbered years only.
Yeah. Right.
So the thing is, this is why Ronnie Perkins' deal hasn't been done. All right. Every 4th round picks, every 5th round, 7th round have all been signed. I should look it up really quickly. I think the last 16 picks in the 3rd round haven't been signed because of this quirky rule. And it's going to be somebody in that 10 has to be the first one to go forward. Yeah. So
because that sets the rest of them.
This sets the rest of. For example, this teams like I think Tampa Bay who have signed every pick but their 3rd round pick.
Oh.
Because Yeah. So that's the third round pick. That's the third. We talked about the third round. The second round pick, all right, they're getting the maximum salaries, all right, throughout the deal.
Okay.
Okay. What they're negotiating, and their first year salary is guaranteed. Okay.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Second year salary is guaranteed. Okay. Well, that's what they're really negotiating is how much of the second year salary is guaranteed. All right. And how much the third year salary is guaranteed.
Oh.
All right. Because when you get salary guaranteed, if you get cut, you get the money no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
All right. For the first round picks, for most of them now, all the salary is guaranteed. The top 27 right now, every part of it is just go, and this just gets negotiated. Each year, the number of picks who get fully guaranteed deals goes up. All right.
Yeah.
Back in the day, when it was 2011, when this new rookie slot system came in, very few had guaranteed deals. Now it's up to 27, 28. All right. Wow. So they're not negotiating about the money. They're not negotiating about guaranteed salaries. They're negotiating about when they get their money. For example, they has a signing bonus. All right, folks, if you're getting a $15 million signing bonus, some teams don't pay you the $15 million right away. Oh. They're looking like doing installment plans look up Google layaway. Okay.
Oh man.
You know what I'm saying? So like,
I understand layaway.
Yeah, if you understand, okay, that okay.
Do the players get interest on those installments? I'd be like, you can. 26% interest.
They don't get. They don't get. Excuse my language. They don't get any interest. Can be the owners are always about. That's why they're billionaires. Yeah. Because they take care of their money to they ain't giving up the players any money. They don't get interest. So they're negotiating when their thing. They're negotiating what would cause them to forfeit the guarantees. So last year, Raquan Smith, like there was that crazy rule about the helmets. All right, where you could hit someone and you could actually be suspended.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was afraid. His agents were afraid. Well, if I get suspended for that, I'm losing my guarantees.
Oh,
okay. Stuff like, and if you work for Tom Coughlin, if you're late for a meeting, like for example, why are you late for 10 minutes?
If you were on time for a meeting,
huh?
But if you were on time, not just 5 minutes early for a meeting,
yeah, you could lose your guarantees.
Yeah,
wow. Yeah,
what a dickhead.
So then the other thing people would say some guy would say this about the offsets, folks. That's not true. It's only 4 teams who's ever have offsets. And what I mean by offsets is like, hey, you cut a player with guaranteed money. He goes to another team. He's not he doesn't. If you have an offset, he's not double dipping.
I got you.
All right. Mm-hmm. For example, Stephen Kukowski, he got cut last year by the Patriots. Mm-hmm. He had $2 million guaranteed salary. All right. Patriots got a credit on this year's cap because it got paid more than $2 million last year by the Titans.
Right.
So he didn't double dip. So the offset, if you have an offset, a guaranteed offset, you don't double dip. The Jaguars, the Rams, they don't care about they don't care about the offsets. The Bears, Justin Fields doesn't have an offset in his deal because Mitch Trubisky didn't have an offset in his deal. And I just forgot the 4th team that's going to kill me.
All right.
The Raiders. The Raiders. Marcus Mariota. It's always a quarterback. And the other thing you'll notice that the quarterbacks, because they play the most important positions, sometimes they get more money. Like for example, if you're on a 4th or 5th round pick, right? You sometimes get if you're a quarterback, you might sometimes get an off-season workout bonus. Right? Oh, okay. So you get $15,000 more. But if you're a center, same team, you're a 5th round pick, center, you're not getting an off-season workout bonus. Quarterbacks sometimes do. So I think that answers your question.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. When talking to your other salary cap expert friends, is the Patriots the one that's the hardest to follow, or all of them it would intricate?
The Patriots hardly ever do until the last couple of years really difficult deals to figure out cap wise. Okay, They weren't using voided deals. They weren't using escalators. They weren't doing any buying back of years and stuff like that.
Is that unusual in the league?
Yeah. Is Belichick better or worse than his peers at managing his cap?
Another question: is it Belichick, or is there some sort of like lawyer / someone who works for the Patriots?
They have a cap guy. There's a cap guy who does the contracts, and I know that he's not the guy who signs the contract. I know Nick Casario used to sign the contracts. Now it's Patricia. All right, but he's not the guy. Like Matt Patricia and Nick Casario weren't figuring out the cap thing. All right.
Why isn't that guy? So there's a guy that works there. His job is to manage the cap and tell you. And the Patriots front office. If you listen to this podcast, right, I'm so sorry I forgot the guy's name. All right, I am so hungry right now. I can't. Dude, I'm hiring you right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If you're listening, Patriots front office, hire Miguel.
That's right.
He's talking about.
Right.
Yeah, he's been doing this forever.
He's got experience. The Patriots follow. I know the Patriots follow me on Twitter.
Sweet.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I know that the players know about me.
I can imagine, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever met Troy Brown then?
I have met Troy Brown at a training camp. I asked for his autograph.
Oh, you lucky.
He was the nicest. Some guy cut in front of a kid.
Oh God.
To get an autograph, and Troy said, "Nah, I'm gonna sign the kid."
Yeah.
And the guy was upset. I'm like, "Are you serious?"
Common decency, bud.
Yeah, he was like, "Come on, let the kid." But I know some. I mentioned, it cracks me up. I mentioned on Twitter that Tim Ryan's my favorite guy, right? And I guess some people say he was a jerk to me one time. I'm like, okay,
no, he wasn't.
There you go. I mean, literally, people might sometimes have bad days.
Yep. If Troy Brown jerks you, I'm gonna guess it's your fault.
Yeah,
that's Twitter.
Yeah, literally. I mean, you're judging the man on one interaction with him.
Yeah, with 30 seconds of his life.
Yeah, 30 seconds of his life. You know what I'm saying?
Allegedly.
So I have met Tread Brown. The Patriots don't do hardly ever do really complicated deals. I mean, that's.
Do you get the feeling that they're good at cap management, or do you? I mean, there other teams where you're
evaluating the players to what they're very good at evaluating what the player's worth to them.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
To them, some teams, and what I mean by that is that for player Kyle Vanoy, he went to the Dolphins. They paid him a 1 year good year salary, but they didn't think it's worth that much money. All right. He comes back to the Patriots. Same player, same talent. Same abilities. One team thought he was worth much more.
Right.
But after he had us on the team for a while, they decided he wasn't worth that money. Comes back to the Patriots. That's where that was the advantages. And
Deion Branch,
they have a value system and they stick with it.
I feel like that's like a rare thing in the NFL because it's such like a results-driven league that it's hard to stick to a value system, especially if it's like one that isn't splashy and doesn't like wow the fan base. Because if you have a limited time for that to like work out in your favor before fans are like, get this guy the hell out of here. You know?
Yeah. I mean, but that happens when you win.
Yes, exactly.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. You get more of a leash.
If he, like Bill Belichick, could not have afforded. He went 10 years without winning the Super Bowl, but he still made the playoffs every year. He's still in contention every year. Right? What was his worst team from 2014 to 2004 to 2014, maybe to 2009, 2010, and he still was in contention.
Yeah.
He still made the playoffs. It was like there are teams who have to miss the playoffs, be a 2-14, 3-14 team now with the 17 games.
You don't see that with the Patriots.
So this last year was their reset.
Yeah,
it was the first losing record they've had since 2000.
And basically, you could say it was, and yes, they lost the greatest player in the history of the NFL.
Right.
But they also had eight opt-outs, more than anybody else's team, more than any team in the league.
And they lost a bunch of guys too in the offseason.
Yeah, and they had this team is for sometimes is not doesn't stay healthy. So they had like 15 guys. They had a bunch of players going IR. Mm-hmm. If they could stay healthy, like if they stay healthy this year with their improvements on the team, and I think an easier schedule. I've said like before, I'm an optimist. They could go from 7-9 to 12-5 if they catch a couple of breaks.
Absolutely. And actually, we saw that in the 2003 season where the Patriots led the league in the number of starters with 40 something. And they showed a list, like in one of the games we were watching, they showed a list of all the other teams that led the league in injuries. And I think the best record was like 6-10. Yeah. And the Patriots went on to win the Super Bowl that year. So,
but for me, I think the Patriots, it cracks me up when people say that Bill Belichick's a bad GM, right? Because he didn't draft well. Okay, so you could throw out the players he didn't draft, he missed on. All right. Go back and do a comparison from each player, each team, and then tell me that he's really either there are people who either draft well or no one drafts well, or is it everybody? Is just an average, and it just ends evens out. You tell me which one you believe in, and then if you believe that the people can draft well, then who are the people who have drafted well who are better than Bill Belichick? All right, but if you believe it's average. If everybody's average the same, then why do you care about what he drafts?
Right.
Literally stop being upset.
It doesn't matter.
It just evens out in the end.
Yeah.
And as for the free agency, I mean, he's got a value system. Yeah. The Patriots have typically, except for last year, usually always in the year with very little cap space compared to the rest of the league. Mm-hmm. All right. It is what. It cracks me up. I don't know what to say to people. If you think Bill Belichick is a bad GM, God bless you. I mean, I just
find out all these
I literally stopped talking to people who said who Twitter. I said who say the cap is crap, blah blah blah. It doesn't mean anything. I'm like, literally, this year the two sides who know the salary cap the best agreed to prop it up this year. All right, just because the salary cap is soft doesn't mean it's meaningless.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, and if you're going to tell me the cap is crap, soft and blah, 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 it's meaningless, it's not real, I just not engaging in you anymore because you have fallen, you listen to that sports station and you've fallen to that, you stopped thinking and critical thinking on your own.
Yep.
You listen to that, Greg, stop harassing him.
98.5.
So like my friend Russ,
I hate 98.5.
Russ Goldman, like literally, I don't know why he spends this time listening to sports radio.
I don't.
It's the worst.
It is. It's they're just being antagonistic to get people to call.
They're the exact opposite of what you're talking about earlier, where you don't do it for clicks, you don't do it for headlines, you just do it for the numbers.
They are the opposite.
They're the other end of that continuum.
And there's no accountability for whether they're right or wrong. They just throw shit at the wall and see if things will stick so they can talk about them.
That just pisses people off.
Yeah.
So like, what's they saying? Like what they said, I could figure out the cap on a napkin. Literally, so this is Felger, like, and so like
that's
when
insulting. That is insulting.
Like, but I'm like,
there's like one continuous napkin. You just
writing.
Well, some people could. I don't think Felger could.
But literally, Felger, I'm like, literally, you were covering the Patriots when I started saying I thought I could do better than you. He was one of the guys who's beat writers. I said I think I could do this better than you.
Surprise, surprise, you have.
Okay.
But I mean, they get paid a lot of money to do it, so they're obviously doing something
he's paid,
right.
He paid way more than I did.
Yeah,
exactly. But he doesn't have his morals at the end of the day, Andy.
Yeah,
and you know what? You can have all the money in the world, but Miguel can come on here and say he doesn't do the job for the clicks, and he's not lying to us. And
I'm not lying.
Never say that.
Exactly.
So I rate Miguel higher than Felger and Maz any day of the week.
Yeah, I ain't lying. And like when I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys don't go back and say, "Yeah, the Patriots won six Super Bowls. I was wrong about them."
The only one that has ever held to that standard is Skip Bayless's like Cliff comment, where his problem is he made the little motion with his fingers, and people screenshotted that and kept bringing it back up and up.
But there's still a bunch of like there's a cottage industry about hating the Patriots.
Yeah,
what was the other guy that did the Cliff?
Yeah, but I mean that kind of like that's so like sports. Like I understand fans that hate the Patriots, like but like commentators that I feel like are being intentionally disingenuous to drive clicks and like make money off people getting angry. That kind of like frustrates me.
It's condescending.
Mm-hmm.
It's insulting. It's demeaning.
Yeah,
it is. It's just not who I want to be.
Yeah,
literally one reason I stopped writing for a website is I just wanted to go back to being considered a fan.
Mm-hmm.
I no longer wanted to be considered a part of the media because I just said some of those guys I don't want to be considered like that, be part of that group.
Yeah.
So like I literally. So when my mother-in-law had heart surgery, I had to take care. I basically had to take care of her.
Yeah.
So I stopped writing, and then I'm thinking, I guess I gotta go back to start writing. Do I really want to be a journalist? Let me just go back to being a fan. And I said, I'm just happier that way because like literally, some of those guys, I don't want to be with them.
Yeah.
I know fans I'd rather be associated with the fans because there's much more of us.
Oh yeah.
So people don't expect us to be. We're fans. We're just short fanatic. We're not supposed to be normal.
You hear that, Greg? I've been saying that forever because I keep getting shit on for putting on the rose-colored glasses and saying Belichick can do no wrong.
I'm just checking you, dude. I'm checking you to make sure you know that you're crazy.
We're fans. We're fanatics. The short fanatic.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you're in an industry where you have standards. Well, at least I think you should have standards.
Well, see, I gotta disagree, Miguel, because technically I think we are both fanatics and journalists because we're doing a podcast, which technically is journalism.
Fair enough.
No standards or morals either.
Okay, but so are you in a journalistic group?
No.
Okay.
Well,
could you get a media credential for the Patriots game?
I was actually going to ask you that. Could we?
I can't.
What do you think the odds are? If we the Patriots Dynasty podcast, can you let us into this thing? I got some questions to ask Bill.
No. The Patriots. Well, the Patriots know who I am. The chances of me getting a media credential, the way how loud I am, and my inability to keep my fandom.
That's the best part, though.
Yeah. I mean, we've had that conversation as well, like behind the scenes about this podcast of like, where do we draw the line of we do it because we think it's fun and we get to like hang out as brothers. But there's certainly a line where it's like where it becomes a job as opposed to us just meeting up once a week and shooting the shit.
Yeah.
We kind of made that decision
I love what I'm doing.
Yeah. I'd rather just do the fun thing and like take it for what it is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you that phrase, if you love something you're doing, it's not really your work. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm like. I love doing this. The fact that I'm a fan and that I'm better at this than some of the media who look down on fans gives me so much pride because I literally I'm not. Hey. I'm honestly like that, but that part they can never say. None of the sports, no one in the Boston sports media can say that the fans know more than the fans about the salary cap because I'm around.
Yeah,
damn right.
It's true. It is true.
It's 100% true.
Mm-hmm.
And the 40-something thousand followers that you have your back.
45. Keep it right. Keep it
there
real.
You go, see? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking numbers guy. I should have known that.
Yeah, right. He's actually 45.1.
I can't be bringing ballpark numbers.
Can't be bringing
Andy, how many fans do we have on Twitter?
We don't have that many. We have 171 followers.
Yeah, 46. All right.
We're getting there. Okay. Think how famous they're going to be when Miguel retweets us or whatever it is. However it works.
I'm sure that's how it works. Yeah. Actually, I was going to do this.
You should have Ed Bryant. I'll say this: like you guys are going over old games. You should have this guy named Ed Bryant.
Ed Bryant,
who's on your show, because he is. He sends out to a mailing list a song of the week. So he goes and he brings up references to old games. So he should be on one of you guys. I should tell him. I should text. I shouldn't say that because I should text him first.
Yeah, no, we love having people on.
Andy can cut it out for you. Apparently, sometimes.
No, don't cut it out. Don't cut it out.
I say I'm going to cut out a lot of things.
Don't cut
Greg
it out.
Leave it in. Cut stuff out, and he doesn't anyways.
Nope.
Leave it in.
It's a crapshoot.
He's a really nice guy, but he knows his Patriots games like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, we've had a few people on. We've had Brian Morey from the Patriots Hall of Fame on.
Yes,
and he can give us a run for our money too. He just remembers this shit like off the top of his head that we have to like rewatch the games to remember.
Damn, yeah. Like I remember. So like when I go to training camp practices, right? I yell out the names of the people I know, the sports media name, and I yelled out one time, Brian Morey, and he didn't know. He was like, "How does people know who I am?" You could just look. He's looking around. I'm like, all right. Like he did not expect to see that. Like, so it's a running gag. Like I love doing that. Like just yell out the person's name. Like I'll like, hey, this is Bob Sosi, the voice of the Patriots.
I mean, that sounds a lot like Greg at a football game.
Greg has some.
He
good
loves
chirping,
yelling.
Actually.
Yeah, I'm a yeller.
The best chirp Greg ever had at a game was when we went to the Redskins, and this is post RG3. He had left town at this point, and he goes, "Robert Griffin III, string quarterback."
I still remember when the three of us went to a Lowell Spinners baseball game with Dad, and Greg was heckling so bad.
Heckling somebody in minor league?
Oh, it was literally everybody. It was mostly the umpires. But then he turned on the mascot. He turned on the mascot after a while, and Dad literally left us to find our way home from Lowell because he couldn't be at the game with us anymore because Greg was so bad.
I got my tires slashed in Buffalo.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That was a group effort though. There was like 4 of us.
Oh my gosh. My gosh. So like have I ever heckled? I would heckle an umpire. I wouldn't heckle a player.
Buffalo's the best because they're not like Philly, they're like angry fans, but Buffalo, they're like they pretend to be angry, you know? Yeah. So they'll chirp you back and they'll give it to you as much as you give it to them. But at the end of the day, they're usually like 95% are just like good people.
Yeah. So most of the Bill fans who follow me on Twitter are good people.
Yeah.
I feel like Patriots fans are like that especially the ones that live maybe in New England. Outside of it, it's a little different.
Yeah. But most people are good people. I just like you said before, I get a lot of questions. I don't answer everyone. Yeah. And folks, and if you have like 2 or 3 followers, and I probably am not going to answer your tweet being realistic. And like literally, I don't know, especially one that's like that it seems like you want me to say something that's controversial.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like baiting me. I'm like, I'm like, you're not going to use me to get more followers.
Yeah. You got to have at least 171.
Wait, but you replied to Andy, who has 170 as
this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But
that's more than 2.
That's more than 2. That's more than 2. Like some people have been on Twitter since 2009 and have 2 followers.
That's me. I think I have a Twitter account there. I don't know what it is or whatever, but it may exist, and I probably have 2 followers.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
But I'm also not tweeting at you because I couldn't even get into it if I wanted to. It's like it's in my
gosh,
college ID or some shit like that.
Oh god, yeah.
Oh my god. Now if I had, it's been crazy. that like Twitter is like crazy because I
want to ask you.
I have followers all over the world now.
Yeah. What is your like
on a German show in July?
What's your general thoughts on like the Twitter environment? Because like every time I'm not a Twitter guy either, so every time I go on there, I'm like, whoa, this is just a whole lot of angry people yelling at each other.
Yeah, it's a lot of angry anonymous people.
Yeah. Because you seem like a really
when social media came out. Sorry.
Yeah.
When social media came out, I just used my name, first name, Miguel. I didn't think of like hiding behind a moniker or anything like that. I just, hey, my name's Miguel. A lot of angry people out there. It's easy to be a keyboard warrior. Say stuff you wouldn't probably on a keyboard you wouldn't probably say to someone to their face.
Oh yeah, so Twitter's.
It is, you know what I'm saying. So if you're willing to, and it is what it is. I'm like literally I'll never forget the guy. Some guy blocked me on Twitter, right? Because I corrected him, and then after he blocks me, then calls me insecure. I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm like, what?
Typical Twitter.
I'm like, okay. You blocked me on Twitter because I corrected you about a number, all right? And then you calling me insecure. And it didn't tag me. Somebody else showed me the tweet. I'm like, really? Like
it works.
In real life, that doesn't happen. Like literally, you would say that, hey, up to my face, you would say it to, you know what I'm saying?
You would think.
Yeah. At least
you would just keep your mouth shut the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so like, my friends would probably know that wouldn't probably happen with my friends because they just know I would just leave. Like literally, I've told I told one of my friends like one time he was gonna drive drunk.
Oh.
I said, "You get in that car, I'm gonna punch you in the face." So it's like, so we you have that argument you have that thing with that 5 minute discussion. Don't get in the car. Don't in the car. Don't in the car. So it's like, no, if you take another step to that car, I'm gonna punch you in the face. And he knew I was real. Yeah. So it's like, we can't have that you'd leave here drunk and kill someone.
Yeah.
I know you didn't. It was obviously he didn't care, but I feel like I can't have that happen on my conscience. I'd rather punch him in the face and have him kill someone.
Send him home in an ambulance. At least he gets home.
I had a thought, Andy.
Uh-oh.
Nothing good starts.
Fantasy, because you saw that the news thing about a fantasy football punishment that said at Waffle House or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be a great fantasy football punishment for someone who's like a Bills fan that lost is to listen to all of the Bills episodes of this podcast. Because we're gonna have hours of content,
and we are
reviewing Bills games, and the Bills always lose.
Always, Tom
lose.
Brady, he's in the top 10 list. I think he's like 5 or 6 of most amount of quarterback wins in Buffalo.
Yes,
yeah.
I thought he had more. Yeah. It's crazy.
Josh Allen just passed him this year.
Yeah.
I sent out a congrats post.
I was dead wrong about Josh Allen. I didn't think that he would be this good.
So would
be as good as last.
No, I still think he's gonna be bad.
Huh?
I'm expecting aggression. See, I put a hot take out there, and I stand behind it, no matter how wrong it might look.
Before last year started, Steve said Josh Allen and
Ryan Tannehill.
And Ryan Tannehill were going to seriously regress. So every week I brought it up to him that's another 400 yards for Allen.
Greg,
oh my God. Did you pick Josh Allen in fantasy football?
No, I just thought he was
Steve.
an idiot.
Steve.
Oh, no.
So you didn't you stayed true to yourself.
Oh, I'm doubling down next year.
So you're not picking Josh Allen this year?
No way. I think both of them regress. They're not good. I stand on that.
Can I play fantasy football with you?
Like taking money from a baby. Very, very stupid baby.
Really? Why do you think he's going to regress?
I'm drafting Cam Newton again. Let's go.
Why do you think he's going to regress?
Who? Josh Allen?
Yeah.
Oh, when I make a hot take, I stand behind it.
Yeah. You stand behind it, so you don't admit you're wrong.
No, that's not his style.
Good luck with you.
Yeah. Eventually he gets
we say that a lot.
It's not good luck with me. It's good luck with Greg and Andy. Those two have to
put up
deal
with this, dude.
Are you kidding me? I love it.
Do you ever say you're wrong?
No, my hot takes, definitely not.
No.
Definitely not.
Hot takes on other things in life, sure.
Other things in life. Oh, thank God.
Are you sure? Not to me, you don't.
Well, yeah, not things you guys say right here.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
My gosh. Because you have to say you're wrong. You have to be able to see yourself as wrong. We're not perfect.
This is true. Nobody's perfect.
Unless we're talking about Tom Brady, of course.
Tom Brady's or Troy Brown. He's perfect.
Or, yeah, Troy Brown.
There you go. There you go.
Minus the 2 fumbles in the snowball, but we don't talk about that.
We don't.
It didn't matter.
I don't remember those. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Larry is on the punt returns. He fumbled 2 of them. Larry is recovered them both.
Larry is.
What are you talking about?
So, yeah.
Steve.
Larry is he's an original special teams guy. And that cracks me up because the other thing about the Patriots, people like, oh my gosh, the Patriots have so many people and players on special teams. So I went and looked it up. I never wrote an article about this. Like every team has players who just do special teams.
Oh, yeah.
But people just think, they don't take the time. For whatever reason, they are because the Patriots, maybe because the Patriots, they don't focus and look at that.
Because the Patriots pay those players more?
That's what I was going to say.
Than other teams do?
What they're paying them is practically immaterial. The difference is practically immaterial to the cap.
Yeah.
When you're talking about a $200 million cap, you paying someone $1 million more is kind of immaterial. I mean, I guess they're paying the 3 or 4 players more money, all right? But at the end of the day, it allows them flexibility. Yeah, so I do think.
Sorry, I was just going to say that's a question I had because we've always kind of been told, well, or maybe I've just garnered this from reading stuff, but it feels like some teams will focus on paying their big name guys the big money and then surrounding them with lower paid people, whereas the Patriots kind of try to have a higher paid middle class with no huge salaries.
That's true.
So that is an actual thing. And
I used to I used to do this starting in 2000, right? When the Patriots from every year I've been tracking it. They always had the most players with a $1 million salary cap hit. All right. And this is back in the day. So 2000, 2001. That's still been true till this day. All right.
Wow.
Except for this now. So one thing the Bills did, they copied the Patriots.
I was going to ask, is anyone else doing that?
Yeah. So they started doing that. Now, saying so the Bills started doing that. Okay. So they finally learned the team's like, hey, maybe we should do what the Patriots are doing. I could not believe it took a team to learn. Let's try the strategy what the Patriots doing and building a depth. Right now they have. Let's say they have 48 players. I'm going to say either 47 or 48 players over with a $1 million cap hit, right? I am willing to bet that's probably in the top 3 in the NFL right now, all right? It's in the people we haven't finished doing the rookie signing deal, so so my number's going to probably be off. But that's got to be in the top 3. I'm willing to bet that. Right? That's something they've been doing the entire time of the Bill Belichick era. That's something I think that it's a cap thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Strategy.
But the Patriots don't. The Bill Belichick, the GM, doesn't get credit for that.
Right.
All right. Because when you're paying a Larry Izzo, you're paying a Larry Wiggum or a Justin Bethel or a Matthew Slater. Those are not big names. All right. But you sign a big name style like a Roosevelt Colvin or an Adalius Thomas. That gets the fan base up and they signed a big name for, but those guys were just important to the Super Bowls as those Adalius Thomas and Roosevelt Colvin.
Do you hear that, Greg? Miguel is advocating for all 3 phases.
Oh yes, and that's the other thing. The NFL has done rules to take away the Patriots' advantage.
Really?
Yes. Like for example, your Patriots used to play their practice squad players more than the minimum. Now everyone has the same salary. You can't do that anymore. Okay, you take the kickoff rules.
Yeah.
Okay, Patriots used to focus on all 3 teams. All right, the kickoffs are now less important. Okay, who's that hurt the most? A team that the Patriots. If you didn't care about special teams, that kickoff rule benefited you. All right. I'm trying to think another cap thing that's related. Okay, Patriots used to used to have option bonuses. All right, and used to qualify for comp picks. That got taken away.
Huh.
So when Darrell Revis left,
to get better comp picks.
Yeah. So when Darrell Revis left, the Patriots got a comp pick for him because they had an option for him. There's no longer, they can't do that anymore.
It was like a team option or a player option.
It was a team option. I mean, we weren't the first ones to. We might have been the first. We might have been definitely one of the first couple of teams to do it. All right. I'm not sure we were the first team to do it. Maybe the Ravens beat us to it.
Yeah.
All right. But we were definitely one of the teams that did do it a lot of it. I think because the Patriots did it with Revis, I'm not surprised they got rid of it.
Yeah, that big.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they put it out there.
Right.
Thanks, Jets. Yeah, idiots.
You know what I'm saying? So there have been rules that the NFL have done to minimize the better their chances of winning while the Patriots.
They're just closing loopholes too that the Patriots are finding.
So yeah, I was just looking through over the cap about the $1 million cap hit thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, which team should I look to compare?
Should be the Rams.
I picked the Jets. And there's like a 20-player difference between the Pats and the Jets as far as like where that cutoff is.
Yeah, you should go with the Rams because the Rams is so top heavy. I bet you they don't even. Yeah, the Rams are so top heavy.
And they just trade away all their picks for, I don't know how they're still managing to do it for some.
I don't know how the Bears still have a first-round pick because they feel like they just throw first-round picks at every problem they have.
Right, yeah.
Rams so it's like, the same way.
The NFL has somehow managed to make the NFL draft a big thing, while some teams are saying, I don't really care about draft picks.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, which is amazing to me.
It is.
We'll see how. I don't know if the Rams, they had their shot. I don't know if they'll ever get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
That Jared Goff, they're gonna regret that Jared Goff throw.
Which Super Bowl did they? Which one are you talking about?
yeah. Which Super Bowl loss are you talking about to the Patriots?
Well, no, that's Mike Motts, the first one. He should have I say. I could not believe. I read afterwards that they were. People telling him to run the ball, run the ball, and he wouldn't do it.
Didn't. Yeah, they wouldn't at all. Stupid man. That game shouldn't have even been that close. That holding.
Patriots were so big underdogs. It's crazy.
15 points.
And that's just ego. That Bill Belichick would not. I mean, I used to say Bill Belichick wouldn't do that, and then Malcolm Butler was benched.
Yeah, that's true.
Who knows?
Right. Who knows?
Who knows? No one knows. Even Dante doesn't know.
How the hell do we not know?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. How has Malcolm not said anything?
How has
even
no one said anything?
It's that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, eventually we'll find out.
So when Belichick retires, he comes on this podcast and tells us
exactly.
We'll let you know.
Thank you,
Miguel. Just hit him up and tell him to come on.
Yeah. Troy Brown.
I'm sure that's what he wants to do once he's finally retired. Is
it's to rehash it all.
Yeah. All right, so we're at 2006, week 12. Remember this one, Bill?
Yeah, it was a Thursday night game versus the Jets in the rain. Great times, right?
Oh yeah, I ended up driving home without a shirt on.
Bill, why were you doing on 4th and 2? But you don't believe in analytics.
We'll save that for Felger.
Literally, that cracks me up. And people are saying that Bill, because he guess he was on this thing, and I'm like, the 4th and 2 things tells you that he is kind of into analytics.
Oh yeah. I just don't think it's like an end all be all to him. I think there's analytics and everything else.
I think he also regarded Peyton Manning as a special player, similar to Tom Brady.
Yeah. Especially in those years.
There's circumstantial variables that you have to take into account. You can't just be like, here's the number. It says 52% of the time I should do this. Like, there's 2% variable with other factors that aren't included in your algorithm, you dummy.
And everyone needs to talk about the "we'll take the wind" overtime game against.
That was stupid. That was dumb. that one I can't defend. That one. It worked out. That was the dumbest shit I ever seen, dude.
The win was a huge factor in that game.
He's ever seen. Have you not watched the Jets play?
Dude, I was at that game. And they announced the Patriots had won the toss, and then we were kicking, and they never told us why. And everybody in the stands like, "What the hell is going on?"
Hey, that's also the game you saw a bunch of people leave, right?
Oh yeah, freezing that game.
Yeah, it was a rough one.
It worked out, Greg.
It did, but I still think it was the wrong. So. I still think that works out like 10 times out of 100.
Well, the 4th and 2 is the right decision. Didn't work out. Maybe that was the wrong decision. It didn't work out.
Right. It's like when you're going all in with a pair of aces and you get sucked out on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's fair.
They're called odds for a reason. I mean, if there's a guarantee every time, then it would be called
evens.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'll see myself out.
All right, I gotta go because
let's wrap her up.
This has been amazing. Yeah, I think this is just going to be its own episode because
I agree.
We got so much out of this. So we'll touch on the Bills game.
Yeah, I tend to talk a lot. Sorry.
No, this has been amazing. Okay. Thank you so much for coming on. And actually, in honor of having you on, what I've decided to do is for every listen to this episode we get between this episode and the next one. I'm going to donate $1 to your Habitat.
I got 45,000 followers. You're going to put up some money. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because there are people who listen to me, even though I'm on a Jets podcast.
Wait. There are Jets podcasts?
There's a Jet. Yeah, it's a guy. The host.
Yeah,
he's a really nice guy, and he has you guys got like the same kind of setups, like the boom things, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't. My gosh, he really didn't understand. He didn't really understand the cap at all. So I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, no wonder you asked me to go on the show. I was like, because some people what's his name? Mike Traggs. I don't know if you remember him. He used to cover the Patriots. Like he's to me, of all the beat writers who ever covered, he understood the cap the best. He didn't have the cap. He doesn't have the access that Ben Volen or Mike Reese has. But in terms of knowing the cap and how it works, and I think he knew the cap the best. I loved going on his podcast just because it was like, all right, I don't have to explain anything. He knew, was that, saying, but.
Yeah, I mean, you could get nerdy with them.
Idiots.
Yeah, you can get nerdy. I can get nerdy. I try not to get nerdy on these podcasts.
Same.
Yeah, but literally when I talk about that 25% rule, I actually used a stupid number, the $1 million number. I should have used when I tried not to be nerdy, I should have used the $560,000 number because that's much easier to divide by 4.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Miguel, for coming on. This has been fantastic.
All right. Thank you.
I've learned a lot. I'm pretty sure we all have.
When you get to the 2013 season,
yes,
you know what I'm saying, because that's when the new CBA hit me up again.
Oh, all right.
We'll do it because before the season episode, so you can say what happened in that last off season in the cap.
Ooh.
Anytime I'm on. I love being on podcasts just because I like talking about the salary cap.
I love it.
But you're a man if you talk about the off season, I'll come on. I don't work. For example, I don't work the league year when the league year begins, so I can go on a podcast anytime.
Beautiful.
So the league year is going to be March 16th. I forget I don't even know what day of the year, the day of the week it is. So let's try it for then. Until you get to 2013 before then.
Nope.
No. Okay. We'll see. We got a date for March.
We tried to do a game this week and we didn't even get to it.
Because of me.
Yeah, I prefer it this way.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Take it easy, Miguel. All right. Miguel Benzon, everybody. At Pat's Cap on Twitter. Give him a follow if you probably already do. If you listen to us, I'm guessing you already do. Unless you're mom and you don't have Twitter or Steve.
Yeah, mom, go follow him on Twitter. Actually, just never mind.
Yeah, no, we don't.
You think he's on TikTok? We should ask him that.
missed opportunity. We'll ask him next time he comes back in 2013.
Yeah,
5 years from now.
5 years of games, dude.
That's what I'm saying. So all right.
Also,
so that was
patscap.com if you're not on Twitter.
There is a patscap.com. I don't think it's
updated.
Necessarily updated. I meant to ask him about that too. Maybe we'll ask about that on Twitter and see what he says.
There you go.
But we will touch next week on the Buffalo game that we were going to talk about today. I got sidetracked.
Yeah, Tom Brady's still on this, so I'm guessing it's not up to date.
Yeah.
Good deduction there, Greg. Thanks for that fact check.
Nailed it.
But if you want to look at 2016, 2015, this might be kind of interesting.
Right there, last updated September 22, 2017.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's in the middle of the page, Steve, you know?
All right. On that note, until next week, we will see you later.
See you later.